Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast, traders. As we always do, we will start with the DXY weekly time frame. You can see something significant has happened here. We broke this weekly area of demand. Now, that to me is not super bearish sign, but I'm going to go ahead and call this zone removed and use my chart here to remove that area of demand. And that has left us with some sort of supply all the way up here. So this is now a key supply zone in my opinion. This supply zone is responsible for targeting this liquidity. Now, a lot of you guys might think that this is a very bearish sign, and honestly, it is somewhat of a bearish sign, but I've been saying this pretty much the last couple months on my weekly Forex forecast. You guys can go back and watch. There's a better weekly demand that's lower. And if you look on the charts right now, we are actually inside of this overall monthly area of demand that you can see on the chart. And it's targeting liquidity on the monthly chart as well. And within that monthly demand is this better weekly demand. So we basically had two demand zones, and I was saying this one is actually much, much better. So what I think we could be seeing is simply the retracement down to this better weekly demand, and then we could see a push back up to the 103.06 area. I am not saying that this is going to be removed and we are going to push beyond that. All I am saying is that we could see a move from demand up to supply. So we could see continued dollar weakness for the next couple of weeks until we hit the 97 mark, and then we could react to the upside. But our target was hit. I had this target on my chart for so long, ever since we were pretty much at that supply up there, and that target was pretty much hit. And now I think we are going to continue to go down to this weekly area of demand, which means we could see some weakness this coming week in the DXY. Now, on the 4-hour time frame, we had this beautiful 4-hour supply zone respected multiple times. You guys can go back and watch the forecast. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if I pointed out this supply in the forecast or throughout the week in the daily market breakdown videos. Either way, we had this supply zone on a chart. It worked 3-4 times beautifully. And not only that, we have a beautiful 4-hour downward trend. So that is what we are going to be monitoring to decide what is going to be taking place on the dollar. As long as this 4-hour downward trend line is being respected, we could expect the DXY to fall down to the 97 area, down to that weekly area of demand that I was talking about. On the 1-hour chart, we do have a 1-hour demand zone here, and I think we definitely could hesitate around the zone. I am not saying we're going to see a move off the zone and push all the way up here, guys. What I am saying is it's a good demand zone. It's a drop base, decent rally that removes supply. So if we do push down to the zone, I think we will hesitate here, maybe see a 2-to-1 move off the zone, and then eventually end up breaking down. This is what I am expecting to see, small move off this demand. So if you're shorting the dollar right at this demand on any of the other pairs, be careful. We could see a small move to the upside as we contact that area of demand. But for now, next week, I'm definitely going to be monitoring the 4-hour downward trend line to see if that can continue to hold. I'm going to be monitoring the 1-hour demand zone that I was saying, and also the weekly chart to see if we can push down to that weekly area of demand on the DXY. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the Euro USD. Going to go ahead and remove this weekly supply up here. And this was a key supply zone in my opinion, because we did see actually a very nice reaction off of the zone. So in my opinion, it is a pretty key level that we, obviously removing that is definitely a bullish sign. That has left us with a weekly demand zone all the way down below, down there, but it's definitely a bullish sign, as you can see with my arrow. Beautiful trend to the upside here on the weekly time frame. We have a very, very nice daily trend as well. So in my opinion, we kind of have to go with that, with these nice trends. On the 4-hour chart, we have a beautiful 4-hour upper trend line. So you're definitely going to want to have this trend line on your chart. I connected it from here to here. That is the proper way to draw the trend line, in my opinion. And as long as this trend line is holding on a 4-hour chart, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good. Now, remember with that, remember the euro is the opposite of the dollar, so we have to monitor the dollar as well. Once we hit that weekly demand on the dollar, we have to be cautious on euro longs. But for now, guys, as long as this trend's holding, longs all the way. This very proven area of supply above in the 4-hour chart, if we can remove that, any demand that removes that is going to be significant as well, and hopefully get a nice potential trade. Even if we get a pullback all the way down here, tons of good zones down at 112, and the even better one down at 111. But obviously we prefer the pullback sooner rather than later. So these zones still decent. They could work for a small move, but we're just kind of far from it. So as far as the euro US dollar goes now, remember on the DXY analysis we just did, we had that drop base rally area of demand. Now it's just the opposite on the euro here. We have a beautiful rally base drop area of supply. It's a good rally-based drop at 115. Now again, the trends are up on the higher time frame, so we are expecting this to take place. It doesn't mean we can't make a little bit of money on the move down. So what we want to do here, if you are going to trade short at this 1 hour supply zone, you might want to look to take profit aggressively, meaning move your stop from from the stop loss to break even as soon as you can, or after a 1-to-1 move, or take profit at 1-to-1, 2-to-1, because it is counter trend. So this trade could be, yeah, sure, this trade could work beautifully and move all the way down here. But since it's counter trend, I'm only expecting a small move, and that is why that's all I would be looking to get out of it. You could also be looking for confirmation in there on a 5-minute time frame, which is what we will be doing for the Diamond members throughout the week. If you want to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership for exclusive access to our daily market breakdown videos and catch trades like these. Plus, dive deep with our full-length forecast covering 26 plus markets, our interactive Sunday Zoom sessions, and personal homework to sharpen your strategy. And you'll also join our private Discord group for direct access to me and unlock a complete library of A to Z video lessons to master supply and demand trading. Don't miss out. Let's level up your trading. Links in the description down below. So as far as the euro goes, this is really the only supply zone I see a potential trade to the downside off of that zone. And then once we can remove these supply zones, any demand zones here definitely could be a good potential setup as well on the euro US dollar. But in the meantime, guys, we're waiting for that 1 hour supply to be hit. And if you're bullish, beautiful 4 hour trend line, we could be day trading along that as well. All right, on to the forecast for gold. Really was hoping we get a pullback down to this weekly demand. In my opinion, it looks like we are taking off to the upside with this very, very bullish candle on the weekly chart. We still have this high to get through too. It's even possible we kind of fake everybody out and even pull back down to that weekly demand. I think this is a great rally-based rally. Weekly demand buying point at 30.93. So if you're a swing trader, that is like our ultimate buy point. I'm really, really hoping we can get a pullback down to that zone. On the daily chart though, obviously things are looking pretty strong. We had a nice downward trend line. That downward trend line was removed. And unfortunately, I don't really see any demand down here that removed it, but obviously it is looking strong. We have clear momentum to the upside, really no trend. But the next thing we are going to be monitoring here is to see if we can remove this high. Obviously that's the next test. We do have to be careful of a fake out. It's kind of an obvious fake out at that point. So at the end of the day here, guys, it is longs all the way on gold. If you see, nice 4 hour trend to the upside, no fresh zones. This zone's pretty much used up. So if we do get a pullback down the zone now, you could trade it, but I would be looking for confirmation only on a 15-minute chart because it's tested. So we don't really want to be trading at tested zones. If you guys are enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I do these forecasts every single Saturday for free on YouTube. So subscribe so you don't miss another one, and a like is much appreciated. So this demand could be good for an extra pullback, kind of just use confirmation there. I personally won't be doing it. What you could be doing is monitoring this trend line. As long as the trend line is holding, 15-minute time frame longs, definitely going to be good. On the 1 hour chart here, we kind of have a little hidden zone, and I kind of like it. We have some sort of rally-based rally here as well. I don't have this zone. I'm not going to get into detail on why I don't. It's just my chain analysis, which is what we discuss in the membership as well. But pullbacks down to this 1 hour demand could definitely be rewarding at 33.65. It's kind of just a random zone though. Like I would have liked to see the pullback quicker, but at the end of the day, that is a zone we could see a move off of. So it might be worth having in your charts. If you don't feel comfortable, since price has taken so long to pull back to it, if you don't feel comfortable with just a stop, or sorry, an entry and a stop and a take profit, you could always just look for confirmation. And on this time frame, you'd look on a 5-minute chart inside there for confirmation. So it is longs all the way here on gold, especially on the day trading timeframes. And the only zone I'm seeing is that 1 hour zone down below. And I think it could be worth it as we potentially, push back up and push to the all-time highs here on gold. Could be a good dip buying opportunity. And like I said, day trading longs could definitely be rewarding as well. All right, on to the forecast for the USDJPY. I'll be straight up honest with you guys. This is not a great looking chart. We are currently reacting off of weekly support. Again, this is not demand. Support and resistance is definitely not supply and demand trading, guys. I'm sorry to break it to you, a lot of you guys, but it's not the same thing. This is a support level. I'm expecting the banks to target liquidity down here, in my opinion, and then rally up. That is just what we could see. As far as the lower time frames go in the USDJPY, it is really, really tricky. We're going to do full top-down analysis here On the daily chart, we had two areas of daily demand that were removed. I'll be honest, I pointed out these two demand zones, they were both removed. Now, this one wasn't great, this one was a little bit better, but both not really great demand zones, and there's just not really a lot going on. I would love to see a pullback up to the supply. Why? Because, first of all, it is a fresh area of supply. I'm just going to tighten up just a little bit. Fresh area of supply. It is a nice resistance potential trap set up here as well. And it's a nice move away. So that is, like, as a swing trader, that is what I prefer to be waiting for. When I open this chart as a swing trader, I'm like saying there's no demand down below. So at this point, we're only waiting for supply above. And that's kind of the highest odds situation up there to wait for that daily supply to be a hit. But a lot of you guys want to be day trading. I get it. The issue I'm seeing is look at this range on the 4-hour chart. Okay, we had demand down here. Pointed out this demand zone trade, beautiful move off that zone, but it's tested multiple times. So I don't really want to be trading at it again. And all I'm seeing personally here is this range that we are in. So we really need to wait for a breakout out of this range. In my opinion, going back to the higher time frames, we could see price go down, like I said, and target that liquidity. So I am kind of expecting price to drop, in my opinion, out of this range. So what we want to see pretty much is if we can remove this low. So I'm going to go ahead and make it thicker so you guys can see. If we can remove this low here, we will pretty much have a downward trend line. Actually, I am wrong. It is actually this low right here. So if we can remove this low right here, we will definitely have a downward trend line, right? Because we remove the low, boom, boom, boom. Then we could be day trading short that downward trend line on a 15-minute chart. That is what I would be waiting for you day traders. I would not be trading in this range. I personally think trading in a range is one of the worst things you could do, especially as a beginner trader. It's just very, very difficult, and profit usually runs tight. So this represents the range. If we break out to the upside, we will have an uptrend. Then we could day trade long on a 15-minute chart. If we break to the downside, then we could day trade short on a 50-minute chart. I'd prefer to see the breakout to the downside to target that higher time frame liquidity down here like I was talking about. So the dream move would be something like this. Boom, we break this low, and this demand would be fantastic, because if this demand gets removed, any supply zone could definitely represent a very good potential trading setup as we push down and break significant demands and significant lows. So I do prefer the breakdown here, because we could potentially have a new zone formed where if we do break the high up here, we can only really be day trading long, because I don't really see any zones up here as far as my chain analysis goes. So I would draw this range here, wait for the range to be broken out, and then trade accordingly, guys. I am not trying to predict whether price is going to break out to the upside or to the downside. I'm simply just going to let price show me and then trade accordingly. And that's what it takes to become a professional trader, in my opinion. Not trying to force anything, just letting the market trade what you feel, or trade what is real, not what you feel. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the GBPUSD. You can see we are clearly reacting off this weekly supply. In my opinion, it looks like it's going to be removed. It's a supply zone from back in March 2022, so it's not really significant in my opinion. So this week, I'm definitely going to be waiting to see if it can get removed. Might have some sort of demand back here. Make sure to tune into next week's forecast to see if that is what has taken place. But obviously, it is looking really, really strong right now in the pound. Going to a daily chart here, you can see we are reacting off of this daily supply from very far back. You can see I just changed the colors of it. That's how far back it went. And back in 2022 as well, in January. So not a great supply zone. Definitely nothing where I'm like, wow, we're definitely going to, push out the supply and break this upward trend. Definitely not. But we want to see what removes it, because if this supply gets removed, if we have a demand zone here, it's going to represent a potential great swing trading opportunity. It doesn't look like we're going to get pulled back down to these demand zones I've been waiting for. So that's unfortunate. At this point, we need to wait for the supply to be removed. But just look at the trends, guys. The higher time frame trends are up, so the highest odds situation right now in the pound is actually to look for longs, and we actually got a beautiful setup off of this demand zone here. Pretty much a support trap as well. Bought the pullback, beautiful setup, over 3-to-1 hit easily here on the pound on that 1-hour chart, called out in the daily market breakdown videos. If you guys want to find setups like this and get help, check out the PDF. The PDF comes with the membership, 38 pages filled with valuable information that you are definitely going to want to learn. Comes with the membership, so click that link down below for that. So I actually, at this point, you could actually continue to hold this. And in my opinion, it's fine if you want to let 25% of your trade run here, because remember, the higher time frame trends are up. If this was a counter trend trade, 1-to-1, 2-to-1 is pretty much all I'd be looking for here. We have a nice area of demand down below. This is what I was personally waiting for. I'd rather be trading at this one because it's a great support trap. So what I'm hoping now, on the pound is we get a move like this where we break this demand zone here, boom. And even if we have a 1 hour supply here, it might be good for potential trade as well. That'll be for another discussion. But what I'm hoping is we can react off the support here, get a pullback down to this demand and get a setup down there. In my opinion, we could see a massive move from this zone down here. So definitely one I would have on your charts down below there. Nice move off this zone so far. And yeah, so at this point, the trade's kind of already worked out. We need to wait for new setups to be formed at this point, either by removing this high, removing supply, or like I said, removing demand. And if there's a supply zone there, we could look for shorts. But for now, that trade's kind of already worked out, which is why I do the daily market breakdown videos throughout the week. So you can catch trades with me throughout the week because I can't do a forecast on YouTube every single day. On the 4 hour chart here, we have new highs being broken, which has given us this updated trend line on the 4 hour chart. So as long as this 4 hour trend line's holding, guys, 15-minute time frame longs are definitely going to be good. So have this trend line, even if we push down to it, react, that's fine. You could be looking for longs. Even if we break this trend line, we have a little kind of a, I don't want to say hidden, but it's definitely a good demand at 1.33. I think we could hit that zone and maybe see a move off of it. A little bit risky because it's taken so long to pull back to it, but I'm just saying if we remove this trend line, that is where I think we are going to be headed, and then we could see a move off that zone. But for now, you want to be monitoring the 4 hour trend to the upside, be day trading along that, and waiting for potential new zones on the 1 hour chart to be formed for longs or shorts, or waiting for the pullback, like I said, down to that demand zone at 1.344 on the 1 hour chart. All right, on to the forecast for the USDCAD. This is the country that I live in and from. A lot of people laugh at me because I say it. I used to say it every weekly Forex forecast. I try to only do it every 4 times, just trying to let you guys know a little bit about me. So I am living in Canada. I'm from Canada. Let me know where you guys are from down below in the comments. So daily chart on the USDCAD here, looking really, really weak, right? It's to me, it looks like all signs are pointing to the downside. However, a little bit of a lesson here. Yes, things are looking weak, but look at what just happened. Weekly demand is in control, guys. Yes, this demand could easily break, but as a supply and demand trader, we have to go with this demand. So we are actually expecting that downward trend to come to an end and see a move to the upside. I think we could continue to push down, maybe test the zone halfway through. I'm not saying we're going to go up now. I'm just saying we have a higher time frame, weekly demand and control. We have to be going with that demand. We have to be looking for longs. So I'll keep it very, very simple here on the 1 hour chart, or sorry, on the 4 hour chart. Remember, the weekly demand is in control, right? So with this weekly demand in control, we want to be favoring longs. If you want, we have a 4 hour downward trend line. You could continue to look for shorts as long as the downward trend line's holding on a 15-minute chart. It is risky though, because the weekly demand is in control. So we could expect it to break. So I'll be very, very clear. As far as long trades go here, guys, we basically want to see something like this, where we can remove that downward trend line, and any demand zone that removes it is going to represent our confirmation trade. I have many videos on confirmation on my YouTube channel, so I definitely recommend you guys check them out if you want to learn more about confirmation trading. If you're just a little bit confused at what I'm talking about, that's what I'd be waiting for. I'm drawing this little bonus area of supply here. It's not my favorite supply zone. It's not according to my chain analysis, which is what we discuss on the Sunday Zoom sessions, but it is a area we could see removed. So the best confirmation would be not only removing the trend line, but also this base drop supply selling area. Any demand there is going to be fantastic. So all trading right now is going to revolve around this downward trend line. Again, if we remove that trend line, that is our confirmation on our entry time frame coming off of our higher time frame, guys. So all trading is going to revolve around this downward trend line, and also draw this base drop supply to see if we can remove that as well. That is going to be a bonus confluence here as we potentially get a long trade here on the USDCAD as we have approached that weekly area of demand. And that is what I was saying this whole time. As we pause here on the weekly chart, I was saying I think we're going to continue to go down and target this weekly demand. And now we are here, and now we are waiting for the downward trend line to be removed for our confirmation long trade. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the AUDUSD. I won't lie, the higher time frames here are not telling us a lot. There's not a lot to go off of here. There's really no demand. There's no supply. It's sideways. It's terrible. If this was my entry time frame, I would be like, ugh, and I would just walk away, and I would never be trading this. Even on the daily chart here, look at this. It's just chugging along. It's just nothing really explosive happening. So as supply and demand traders, it's not the best. However, we actually are getting some good price action on the lower time frames. On the 4 hour chart here, we are definitely hesitating. So there's really not a lot to go off of here. If we can break out to the upside here, then we'll have new trends, and then we could, you know, add day trading longs, but there's just not really a lot to go off of here. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. However, on the 1 hour chart, we actually had some decent price action. Now this was a 1 hour demand zone I called out, and that was removed so easily. So we're not gonna act here like we don't take ever any losses, but we definitely take losses, I'm just saying. But the other trades we took this past week here, that I pointed out earlier, the risk reward for that made up for it easily. I'm going to show you another trade we took on oil coming up as well that made up for these trades so much. So at this point, this demand that we took a loss on was removed by this area of supply. Not only that, we have a clear liquidity trap up here as well. So the best potential situation is another reaction off this resistance to prove there's liquidity here. All the stop losses are here, and we simply sell a pullback up to that area of supply at 0.562. So definitely a good supply zone above. I really like, we don't need to see another reaction off the support. We could just push up and just hit it. But I would prefer to prove that there's like a resistance area here, which would definitely signal that everyone's stop losses are there, and then that is our supply zone set up above. So that is the dream situation here on the Aussie US dollar. That's what I'd be waiting for. You could look for day trading shorts in there, and that is really the only setup I'm seeing on the Aussie. It is kind of trading within this overall range, so it is a little bit lower odds in my opinion. So if you are going to trade short it here, I would be a little bit aggressive with your stop loss, and I'd be moving your stop loss or break even pretty much as soon as possible, because not only is it within a range on the 1 hour chart, again, there's nothing on the higher time frames that are really suggesting we should really fall off here. So any trades on this chart, you should be very aggressive with your stop loss your stop loss and your trade management, in my opinion. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USD Swiss. We have a weekly demand zone all the way down here. It's from so far back, not even a great demand zone. You can actually make it a little bit bigger, but I'm not. So yeah, this demand zone could be kind of a magnet for price. We definitely could see a pullback down to this demand and then that aggressive move up. So we could continue to see downward pressure here on the USD Swiss. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really see any zones. What I do, I mean, we have a zone up here I'll talk about in a second, but we do have a nice downward trend line. So that's a trend line you definitely want to have on your charts, and you could be day trading short that downward trend line on a 15-minute time frame. If we do get a pullback all the way up to supply up here, I think it's a great supply zone to look for a lower time frame trades in. It's kind of a big zone, so your risk reward, like to get a 3-to-1, you got to get a move all the way down here almost. So I would rather be looking for day trading shorts inside of there rather than swing trading shorts, because it's such a large zone. So really, all I'm going to say on the USD Swiss here, guys, monitor this downward trend line on the 4 hour chart. As long as that's holding, I think 15-minute time frame shorts are going to be fine. And then look, if we remove this downward trend line and there's a demand zone here, perfect. You could definitely look for potential long trade off that demand zone, but we got to wait for that to be taking place, or we could wait for the supply zone above and be trading in a higher time frame supply. Alrighty, on to the forecast for crude oil. We still have a downward trend, but I mean, look at this move. We acted as if this supply didn't even exist. I'm a little surprised we got the move and we broke it like that, but I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, there was some sort of news event that took place. Again, I don't get into politics here or economic stuff, but I'm sure it was some sort of economic thing or something to do with Iran or something. I don't know. So nice move up. We broke supply. Definitely a bullish sign, but again, it could just be an emotional spike up. We definitely got to be careful. That has left us with a decent demand zone down here on the daily chart at 66.05. So, you know, we are kind of due for a pullback. This is an aggressive emotional move up. So we could kind of see price pull back down to the mean here, down to this daily demand that's located right at the trend line that removed this supply as well. But actually, we might have another zone here as well. So it's a little bit tricky. This is a demand zone on the daily chart. It could be good for potential swing trading longs, in my opinion. As far as crude oil goes, it's been a great weekend for me on crude oil. Pretty much 2 winning trades here. Caught a nice 1-to-1 supply zone short there. And then I was testing my 1-to-1 strategy at this area demand, and that 1-to-1 turned into a 5-to-1 for me. So absolutely perfect entry at that demand zone. Again, called out in the daily market breakdown videos for all of the members. And if you guys want more tips with psychology and stuff, make sure to check out my podcast, available anywhere you get your podcasts. So at this point on oil, this is our new demand zone down below at 69.29. Definitely could see move out that zone or moved 3 areas of supply. Nice move away. Again, the only thing I'm worried about it is that this might have been some sort of emotional spike due to some news events. So it's not my favorite situation, but at the end of the day, nice trends to the upside. It's longs all the way at your demand zones. And even if we pull all the way back down to the weekly demand at 60, or sorry, the daily demand at 66, even the weekly demand at 63, it's going to be great dip buying opportunities presented here on oil. The only thing I'm worried about is that all the longs are technically counter trend as long as this trend line is being respected. And so far it is being respected perfectly as we wicked right into it and wicked out. So I actually welcome a pullback down to this weekly demand, can get a nice swing trading opportunity off of that zone there on crude oil. But in the meantime, I pointed out the 4-hour zone. That is our next potential setup. And if you're bullish on the day trading timeframes, you could also be day trading long as well with the 4-hour and the 1-hour trend to the upside. If you want to watch the full-length forecast and get my daily chart analysis and daily market breakdown videos, join the Diamond membership. Links in the description down below.